everyone, I'm back and finally reviewing the book that I've been so excited about. Katherine Rundell's The Good Thieves. The TBC rating for this book is 4.5 stars, rounded down to 4 stars. And the only reason I rounded it down to 4 instead of rounding it up to 5 is that the only books I give a 5-star rating to are those which I know I definitely am going to reread. And by reread, I mean reread. You get the drift, right? And I'm not quite so sure about this one yet. So for right now, it's 4 stars. And why was I so excited about this book? Well, first, because it's by Katherine Rundell, whose first 2 children's books, The Girl Savage and The Rooftoppers, I thoroughly enjoyed. So any new announcement of a new book by her creates a free zone of excitement within me, though this is not really a new book. It's just taken me a while to get to it, sorry. Second, it's a heist story with twists and turns galore. Third, it's set in 1920s New York. I love historical fiction, I love New York, and it was the roaring 20s. Wow. And finally, I think it's about a group of very unlikely children who come together to form a team to do the right thing, to right a wrong. That is why they are the good thieves. They want to steal something that was stolen from its rightful owner and to restore it back to them. Now, with such a lineup of reasons, what's not to love? Now, for all of you who have been following the Book Chief reviews on Facebook, which is where the blog is located, you all know that the Book Chief is all about long and detailed reviews. I firmly believe in long form reviews because I think as parents, teachers, librarians, uncles, aunts, friends, we need more than just the skeletal storyline given in the blurb at the end of the book to decide whether we want to buy that book for the kids in our lives. Even as a reader, I would want to know more. Tell me a little more about the storyline. Tell me how the storytelling is. Tell me about the characters. Am I going to like them? Am I going to root for them? So, I always look for reviews which tell me that before I decide whether or not to buy a book. So the Book Chief is always about detailed reviews, and hence this review will also have those details. However, since this book is about a heist, I will not delve too much into the storyline because I think it is so much more fun to kind of ride the ups and downs and thrills and chills as they come, as the story unfolds. So this review will dwell largely on the characterization and the storytelling. It's Katherine Rundell, so you can be assured it's going to be excellent. So let's begin. Our primary protagonist is a girl called Vita. She's around 10 or 11 years old, and her inwards turned foot and prominent limb due to polio, they are the perfect foil for her steely core of determination, courage, and her fierce sense of justice. So, when her grandfather suffers two back-to-back tragedies. First is the loss of his most beloved wife, closely followed by being pawned out of his ancestral home, which is like a mini castle in upstate New York, by a dangerous man with mafia connections called Victor Sortore. She burns with a desire to set things right. And yes, she's also a master marksman. She can throw anything, knives, stones, you name it, with deadly accuracy. Incidentally, she's been trained in this by her grandpa during her long recovery from polio. Next up are Arkady and Samuel. Arkady is closer to Vita in age. He's Russian. He is the son of the owner of a new indoor circus that has just come to New York City. And he is a very cheerful, open, frank, boy, quick to make new friends and very loyal to the ones he has. But the most important or lovely thing about him is the magic he has with animals. He can woo the birds off the trees and the dogs and the cats off the streets of New York and get them to do his bidding. But he is extremely modest about it. Samuel is a little older than Arkady. He is also part of the circus. He is of African descent. He is an orphan under the care of his very strict uncle, who is in charge of the Horses Act in the circus. It is understood and repeated very often by his uncle that as soon as Samuel turns 14, he is to begin training with his uncle and the horses and take over the act in a few years' time. But Samuel's passion isn't horses, it's flying. Whether it is from a trapeze or just off the ground, Samuel loves acrobatics. Whether it's backflips or tumbles, he loves it, practices it with a passion every spare second he can get, on the sly, of course, trying to hide it from his uncle. His uncle, however, knows his dreams of being an acrobat, but as he very hard-headedly and practically says that people of their skin color will never be accepted as lead performers, so Samuel should stick to the Horses Act. The last person in the gang is an orphan girl who goes by the name of Silk. She is older than the rest of the children and has been living on the streets of New York alone for the last several years. She is a master pickpocket and lockpick and earns a living that way. Being older than the others means she lands jobs like waitressing at parties of the very rich. Remember, these were the roaring 20s. And using her sleight of hand talent, she relieves the very rich guests of their wristwatches, of their jewelry, of their wallets, and that's how she makes a living. However, being alone for such a long time, chasing away hooligans, or rather holding them at bay and refusing to part with a share of her earnings to them, has made her very wary, and she's tough as nails and does not want to work with anyone. She prefers working alone. So she flat out refuses to join the gang when they make the proposal to her. But eventually, the four children come together and decide to act on Vita's master plan that she's drawn up, which includes breaking into Hudson Castle by scaling the tall walls, befriending the guard dogs, finding the secret safe, picking it, and finding something hidden in it, giving it back to Grandpa that will help him get back on his feet. However, things are not quite as they seem. The end of the heist took me by surprise. I was shocked. To be honest, I'm still a little startled at how things turned out. But I think that's the fun of a heist story, the twists and the turns. In short, to summarize, a great adventure story with enough history thrown in to make it interesting. I love the fact that all four characters had different personalities, had their own USPs or strengths, but at the same time had their own perceived weaknesses that made them open to censure or prejudice by others, whether it was Vita's handicap or Arkady's status as an immigrant, Samuel's skin color, or Silk's lack of respectable origins. And but I loved how the four of them always stayed true and loyal to each other, even when deserting one of them would have been for the greater good. They didn't do it, they stuck together, and that really resonated with me. And I think that sets the tone, a strong moral tone for the story, and makes it a perfect read. This mixture of a strong moral core, enough twists and turns to keep even the most adventure crazy reader hooked, and the historical setting together make for a very interesting read, perfect for 10 to 12 year olds, and perfect for the upcoming summer vacations. So do go ahead, give it a shot. For all of you who have already read the book, please leave your feedback on the book and on my review of it in the comments below. For all of you who go on to read the book after watching this review, please leave your feedback as well. I would love to read your comments. And keep reading and keep having fun. Bye.